a scion of many worlds. Unification? Elder Gronzi asks. Emmanuel had gone to her first to speak to the Urthani tribes, and she was found with her proboscis deep in a bowl of mixed fruit drink and a hollowed-out melon that had just a tiny splash of alcohol. It was about as much as her system could take without shutting down. She was not doing well. You've seen the ships. You know that Lacron is open to the rest of the galaxy, right? Emmanuel asks. Yes. Well, then you also know that there is more coming and not all of it will be good. I recognize that, but how will having us all as one thing to devour whole rather than numerous more bite-sized morsels help? Elder Gronzi asks. Simple, by being too big to bite down on, Emmanuel says. I'm no fool. I know that our sun is a star and that every star in the sky could have a world just as full of Lacron, likely even fuller. Even if only 1 in 1,000 has a world like ours around it, we're outnumbered. And with what you've done and become, you've treated it as unique. Unique means valuable, she says, and then sticks her proboscis back into the bowl and drains it from half to a quarter full. Stop being hard on yourself. Yes, you had responsibilities, but being nervous around a weird new Urthani who's clearly acting oddly, looking odd and has a very odd history is understandable. You instinctively chose your community and its safety over a stranger. That's not a failing, that's laudable. You need to let it go. Emmanuel says, and she gives him a dirty look before the rest of the mix is sucked up her proboscis, and she turns to him fully. I have to hold myself to a better standard than that. Thorax Village depends upon me, she says before looking into the emptied melon before taking a bite out of it. She flexes the axiom and her needle teeth suddenly shear through it and she chews on the slightly spiked flesh and rind. Then, be better. Why am I telling an elder that you can learn from your mistakes and improve? If you hate a mistake you've made, then learn from it. Grow from it. Your failures show you the path to victory. They teach you what to never do again, Emmanuel says, and she looks up at him. Why do you even want us? You've done so much, you can do so much without us. Look at you. Even without your skill, you're more Urthani than anyone in my village, or maybe even the entire village. You rewrote us as a species. You made us so much more ourselves that we lost something that we always thought was a deep part of our beings, and not only do we not miss it, but we exult in its leaving. You've changed us. I have, and I'm taking responsibility, he says, and she looks at him oddly. I've touched every Urthani tribe. I will protect every tribe, but I also need you to understand that there are rules that we have to stick together. What do you want exactly? Loyalty. I will guard Lacron. I will preserve and protect Lacron. Will you be part of Lacron? He asks her and she stares at him. I still remember you, unsure of what you were, unaware of your own self, and he smiles as she trails off. She can see it. Her antenna allows her that, easily allow her that. I had to cut holes in my favorite hats because of you, she says in a somewhat amused tone. Why not just let the hat press them down? He asks, and she looks scandalized at the very idea. Not all of us are nearly tripled in size from sheer fur, she protests before jabbing at him with a claw and pushing hard to actually tap him on the arm and not just brush up against the fur. Do you even need bedding anymore? To be fair, I was the type that could sleep on a mound of sharp rocks if I needed to already. How do you stay awake with the softest pillow ever as part of you? She demands, and he chuckles before running a claw over his antenna. These help a great deal, he says with a chuckle. What are you planning? Truly? Not everyone coming here has good intentions, but there is a pair of tricks Lacron has that can ward off almost anything. You. And the serpent Empress. She and I are primals. No matter what kind of life they live, a primal commands respect, among the Nagasha if nowhere else. and the Nagasha and likely the Urthani of the galaxy will not hesitate to rally to any banner we raise. That's a force that can easily outnumber any casual empire or system, Emmanuel says, and that threat of force will hold most at bay. Combined with a slowly growing force here on Lacron, by the time anyone is stupid or desperate enough to try anything, we'll be able to kick them around like a toy, Emmanuel says. And you can't now? I can't be everywhere at once, he answers. Much like how Isarizen wanted to be there for all her daughters and granddaughters and great-granddaughters at once, in the end she's still one woman. I see. So, you want what? Gather the tribal elders. We will discuss an oath, one that goes both ways. In a short while there will be a ceremony, a swearing of alliance, an inauguration and wedding all in one. It's something we're going to show the whole galaxy, a banner behind which all of Lacron can rally and will make everyone that thinks about taking a shot at us think twice. And what will be asked of us? At first, nothing more than words. However, there will be some basic laws later. That, and if a war should come up, or I give a warning of danger, I expect to be listened to. And in return, protection and representation from me and Isarizen. No matter what happens, be it a strife between villages, crime, famine, drought, or even just a general need for something, it will be answered. You can live as you always have, live in different ways. You will be provided for. You will be protected. You can stop. I speak for Thorax Village when I say you will have me and my people. I will gather the elders and look forward to this ceremony, she says before raising her partially eaten and thoroughly drained melon bowl of drink up to him in toast. Isarizen hadn't given the young serpent time to say anything before embracing her. This successfully flabbergasts the breakaway Empress, her bodyguards, her advisors, and most everyone else that was feeling tense. It's good to see you again. You know me? The little Empress asks, and Isarizen laughs lightly. Oh yes, I've long had an enchanted pool from which I could see the whole of Lacron in my temple. Even my dear children outside my empire I've watched over and loved from afar. You love me? I never stopped loving my children or their children's children, no matter how many generations have passed. Isarizen assures her, and she can feel whatever walls the child has put up outright break at that. Isarizen begins rubbing small, gentle circles in her back to help her cry as she holds the young jungle Nagasha tight. The impressive length of the young girl's tail has been tattooed to match her own with a Kutha-based ink. Her whole life preparing to defy someone that refuses to fight you. The poor girl. The poor, lost little girl. It's all right, dear. I understand. We left you. I know. I forgive you. But my life cannot be lost, only taken. So I see things in the longer view. Too long for most around me. She apologizes and the younger serpent pulls back a little. Counting tail length, jungle Nagasha are equal and sometimes larger than a primal Nagasha, but the primal is more than just big tail. But the strength of a jungle's tail is never to be denied, which is why the tail of the breakaway Empress shatters several small cobbles as she bunches up nervously and startles her somewhat. The young lady has no idea what to say. Tell me, what do you want with your life? Ilariana, Isarizen asks, and the breakaway Empress gasps. But my name was, I know, but I think that tradition can go away now. Do you agree? She asks gently. I mean, if I know, she assures her. How can you? Why don't you understand it was a lie for so long? Our entire lives based around the fact that you lied, but you didn't. You were telling the truth, and it just, Ilariana says as she runs a hand through her hair to try and pace her thoughts and understand things. Risen lowers herself to Ilariana's level and places a hand on her shoulder. It's okay. How? Because I'm still your mother. There may be a few greats in there depending on the girl, but your mother I remain. I'm sorry I couldn't make you feel safe enough to stay with me. I'm sorry it seemed like things would never get better. But that's changed now. We can all see it's going to get better, and not just a silly old snake who doesn't even know how to grow old properly. Can we come home? You never needed to ask, Issarazin says softly as she leans over and kisses Ilariana on the brow. Even after we decried you? One of Ilariana's advisors asks. They were only words, Amara. If I survive the crash of the nest, I can endure a sharp tongue, Issarazin says as she hugs Ilariana again. I'm just glad you've all come back. I've missed you. But we stole resources, set up barriers, walls, based an entire way of life on hating you, Amara protests, and Issarazin lets out a light laugh. That does not mean I stopped being your mother or that I stopped loving. Issarazin assures her as she gestures towards Amara, and with a shake of her rattle, the other Nagasha floats over to be embraced as well. My children, home and safe at last. Is she going to hug all of us? One of the bodyguards whispers to another. I can if you want me to, Issarazin promises. Whoa now, I'm not even a Nagasha. The Foza bodyguard protests, holding up her hands. You've lived your life with my daughters and among them. As far as I'm concerned, I've adopted, Issarazin says, and there's another shake of her rattle to find the woman suddenly floating forwards and the third pair of arms wraps around her. There's some constrained laughter from Ilariana as her bodyguard squirms out of Isarazin's grip and her advisor shakes her own rattle a few times and is suddenly impossible to grip. This leaves Ilariana as the only one in Isarazin's arms, and she gets all six wrapped around her. Then Issarazin slowly loosens the embrace and holds her at arm's length with a smile. Do you remember a very large and very strange Urthani who taught you about storms and weather? Of course. He's become like me, undying and very, very powerful. The Urthani of the world have changed as well, much like how you have a stronger tail. Amara there has an axiom rattle, and your other advisor can flatten her body and slither on air itself. He has introduced change to the Urthani. Really? But that would mean I am not the first Nagasha like me. In fact, even with my thousands of years of life, I'm one of the youngest. But he is the first of his. He and I are joining our strength together to form a great shield over Lacron. Will you join us? Will you swear to stand with us and live under our laws for our protection? Issarazin asks. Are you trying to lay claim to an entire world? The Slaver Empire is shattered. You are coming home to me. Barring the fierce feather tribes, that's an entire continent. He has Miru. He has befriended Greenstone and the mountain clans, and the Urthani tribes have already been changed by him. That's half the world's people there, Issarazin says. In the end, I just want to keep you safe. We band together and even the whole galaxy will not be able to break us. The galaxy? There is both great wonder and great strife coming for us. So we stay together and grow stronger, Issarazin promises. It sounds grander coming from him. I think it's the little bell in the back of his voice. That moth really makes you believe it.